Well, Julia Manchester is in a climate-controlled and sound-controlled environment. She's also a national political reporter for The Hill. So, as Tom just reported, Trump is returning to D.C. for the first time since leaving office for a speech. That speech is today. I find it interesting that President Biden mentioned him and decided to take him head on. He seems to have largely avoided that since the former president left town in January of 2021. So what's the significance of President Biden actually mentioning him and former President Trump being back in D.C. today?
Well, I think with the exception of President Trump, Mitch, I think it's rare to see sitting presidents really bash their predecessors. You know, you've actually seen a lot of sitting presidents create very good relationships with their predecessors, whether that's President Obama and George W. Bush and, so on. So, I think a lot of sitting presidents try to very much stay away from that. But it's interesting because there's been a narrative in the media. We've seen it in polls in 2024, speculation about this potential matchup between President Trump and Joe Biden, a matchup that, according to polls, a lot of Americans just aren't really in favor of. They're sort of fatigued at the current situation. So I think this could be a way for the White House to sort of change that narrative, to add more flavor, if you will, from Biden's perspective. I think it's also definitely foreshadowing that Biden would attack Trump, because I am sure President Trump will take a few, swings at President Biden in his address and at his address in D.C. today.
Right now, former president is taking swings from somebody that used to be a supporter. We're talking about Rupert Murdoch and some of his publications, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post. In fact, someone in the New York Post wrote that the Republican Party needs to let go of the anvil that is Donald Trump. That's a direct quote. What do you make of this turn from Murdoch supporting Donald Trump to really sending his media empire out there to go against him?
So I think these op-eds from conservative publications, Mitch, really started coming out earlier this month after Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony before the January 6th committee. You had the Washington Examiner, which is not a Murdoch-owned entity, coming out with their own op-ed slamming President Trump. And I think a lot of sectors of conservative media are saying, look, maybe President Trump is more of a distraction than he is an asset to the party. That being said, though, there are still other portions of conservative media, One America News, for example, Newsmax, who are very much still attached and very seemingly supportive of the former president. But, in politics and political reporting, one thing we always like to say is op-eds, endorsements and op-eds don't necessarily mean, essentially color what people are actually thinking. So I think the conservative grassroots, despite the fact that Murdoch-owned publications and some other conservative publications are coming out against President Trump and criticizing him, I don't think that necessarily has a major impact on every grassroots conservative voter.
Julia, on the Democratic side of things, Representative Cori Bush walked away from the question of whether or not she would support President Biden running for re-election. And this is about a month after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got really tongue-tied when she was asked that question on TV. So is this just one wing of the party that doesn't support the current president, or is this a movement inside of the Democratic Party where you could see him end up not running again for another term?
Well, it's certainly starting out with the progressive wing of the party. We know that a lot of progressive lawmakers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Cori Bush have expressed frustrations with the Biden administration. But a lot of it is, once again, coming from that grassroots progressive base, which is, upset that the Biden administration has not been able to follow through on a lot of the campaign promises that the president made, whether that's canceling student loan debt at a high level or even, bigger climate change priorities and actions. So I think you are definitely starting to see it start with the progressive movement. We'll see it if it extends to the rest of the party. But I think you also have your establishment figures within the Democratic Party, whether that is Nancy Pelosi in the House, Jim Clyburn in the House, Chuck Schumer in the Senate, who are going to push back against this. So we'll be watching that tension between the progressive and establishment wings.
Okay, Julia Manchester, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.